Hey, I'm here with a list of demands. Follow the show wherever you listen. Subscribe, share, like, and comment on the show on YouTube. Follow any and all of my social media as well. All of the links are in the description. And finally, if you're a real fan, which most of you aren't, head on over to buymeacoffee.com, use the link in my description, and buy me a goddamn coffee. It supports the show, which is me. So you're supporting me. Now that you've successfully ignored that, go ahead and enjoy today's episode. Hello, everybody, and good morning. Happy Thursday. Happy almost end of the week, almost end of the year. We're almost there, you slimy bastards. It's great. But you know what's been real interesting this year that I've noticed recently, of course, or I should say in recent years prior to this, but this one a little more heavily, I've noticed that there's been very, very, very little snow. Very little snow. I mean, how strange is it getting out here? It's cold. It's definitely cold. But there hasn't been much snow. It's nice, really. I think it's good. I understand people are worried that the normal climate here was once where it would snow in the middle of November all the way till February. And that was back then. Well, you hear old guys always talking about it. We used to get the day off of school and we'd play and we'd go all over the neighborhood. We'd make hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Nobody will inflate a story more than an old man telling you about how much money him and his buddies made in their neighborhood when there would be a snowstorm in 1975. Nobody can inflate a story more so than that. I mean, you hear about it, right? When I was a kid, people used to say that. Oh, go out, come on, go and whatever, and shovel people's driveways. And I had friends who would do it, and there were years where I went out and did it. Didn't make a dime. Didn't make a cent. Not one person wanted a walkway shoveled. Nobody wanted a driveway shoveled. Everyone had plows, right? I guess back in 1975, plow companies weren't really... They weren't a booming. I'm sure there's still small neighborhoods in some places where people can't afford plows and whatever. Maybe I was born into a privileged area, okay? We could say that. Maybe I lived in maybe the nicest part of the town, went to a nice, moved there because there was a great school system. Maybe that was the case. Maybe it was because there really was no need for me to go out and shovel people's driveways to go make money. I could just ask people in my family for money. I didn't even need to go out and do that, but we wanted to, right? Which arguably, you might have to say, you might have to make that old talent versus hard work argument. Talent, something you're born with, just like privilege, okay? And then a lot of talented people, they don't work hard. They don't have to. They can rest on their laurels. They have talent. They don't need to work hard, just like privileged people. Privileged people don't have to do it. But when a privileged person or when a talented person works hard, that's the ultimate. That's the apex of human, right? That's how we look at it. When there's somebody who's talented, we look at it in athletics, we look at it in art, everything. And it's a pretty well-known school of thought that if somebody's born good at something, born with some kind of an advantage, and then they double work on it, you could become the president. That's literally what it is. Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump, his dad was a millionaire, or he was wealthy, and he gave him a bunch of money, and he built a massive empire, right, which obviously takes a lot of hard work. People say his dad gave him $1 million loan. Well, that sounds pretty good to us poor plebeian motherfuckers. But to turn that into $4 billion and then become a president, it's not necessarily, it's not all talent. It's not all privilege. He had to have worked hard as well. So that's like the apex of human. So really, me at 13 years old, going out, trying to shovel driveways in a really nice neighborhood, a neighborhood that people can afford plows or at very least snow blowers, right? At very least, they got a snow blower. And if you're a grown man, you have a snow blower. You're not going to pay a bunch of kids. You spend $300 on the thing. You're not going to pay kids to shovel your dry and do a bad job at it. So really, me at 13 was my peak, is what I'm trying to get at. At 13, I was both in a privileged situation and I worked hard. Where now is at 25, right? 12 years later, I am arguably the reciprocal of that. I'm at a complete disadvantage, and I work kind of hard, right? I'm not going out in the snow shoveling. I don't even want to go in the snow. The whole reason why I got to this point, where I went on this tangent, is that I dislike the snow. I dislike the snow. I once you get to an age where your family relies on you and you have an older person in the family, right? For me, it's my grandmother. And you're expected to shovel your driveway and then their driveway and then the walkways. You're a mule. You're a mule once the snow comes and you're of age. Once you're working age, which for me, for immigrants, shit, that's 10 years old, motherfucker. Get up and help. You're not expected to do the whole thing, but get up and help. And they don't brief you for that, when as you get older, so is everybody else that's telling you to do the job get older. Your dad, your mom, everybody that's supposed to be helping. And now the role switches. Now you're the mule, you're the workhorse. And they just, they sit back and whatever. And they do what they can, right? It's understandable. It's just like the same thing. But that's what they're breeding you for. They're breeding you for that. But the snow, even when you got out of school, even when you didn't have to go to school, there were times where you still had to get up and shovel the fucking driveway. It was terrible. But I mean, there are good things about the snow. One of the first times I got drunk, I was sledding. Something had come over me. We were in high school, and this had to have been senior year, right? Because I had been drunk one more time before this, if I remember correctly. Or maybe this was the first time. I don't know. No, it wasn't the first time. The first time was another funny story that I can maybe get to after. It's not important. We're talking about the snow, goddammit. First one took place in the summer. But anyway, we were all going to go sledding, right? We're all going to smoke weed and whatever, and we're going to go sledding. But I was with Evan, and we were like, let's go and get some booze. So that's what we did. There's this place in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. I don't care anymore because I'm 25 and I can buy alcohol legally. And I'm sorry if I'm blowing up the spot, but there's a place in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. It's called Murphy's Liquors, if I remember correctly. You could go in there. You could send a 7-year-old in there, and he'll come out with a bottle of plastic jug vodka. Nobody cares. There's no carding. There's nothing. So we already looked old at 18 already, right? I make the joke constantly about how I look like I'm 46, even though I'm only 25. Like, I feel like when I'm on stage telling jokes about my age or people my age or my parents, when I reference age, I feel the need that I have to tell people that I'm actually 25 and I'm not 46. So we were 18 and we had beards and shit, so we went in. We're like, yeah, fuck it. We'll, we want to get some stuff. And for whatever reason, I got Bailey's Irish Cream. I don't remember what Evan got, but I got Bailey's Irish Cream, and it was a small, whatever, I don't know the sizes, what is it, 750 milliliter, is that the tiny one? So I had that, and I had it in my thing, and my thinking was I was going to throw it in the snow, and it was going to be delicious. It was going to be like a fucking milkshake, and I was kind of right. So that was fun, right? It's fun. It can be fun. It can be fun when you're older, but the only time it is fun when you're older is if you go out during the storm. That's the best time. If you're above the age of fucking 10, right? We can go back to that age because that was around the time that I was expected to start helping. But if your only cares in the world when it's snowing is to jump in the snow and run around and do, what kids like to do when it's fun, right? That's when it's fun. You're not expected to do anything. But if you want to get the most out of your snow days when you get off school, you have to go while the storm is going, because your family knows that it's stupid to snow blow or clear the driveway when it's snowing, right? It's dumb. So that's when you have to get your shit in. If you're going to go bananas in the snow, that's when you go out and do it. You go out, you go sledding, you drink, you get in your buddy's Jeep Cherokee, and you fucking do donuts in a parking lot, sideways everywhere, right? That's the thing. You fuck shit up in the snow. For us, it was walking around the fucking town like we always did. That's all we did. We were dumb fucking teens, and the only thing that we could find that was in any way exciting or whatever, we would just walk around the town. That's what it was, and sometimes we'd come across something, sometimes we wouldn't. But I remember this one time, there was a big storm, and Chris Oldred had slept over, and the storm went throughout the night. So he ended up sleeping over for like 2 nights. It was a ton of fun, and we the second day we were like, fuck, what are we gonna do? We were stuck in the house. All we did was play video games. This is when we were starting to smoke a little weed. So we got real bundled up. I had a lot of clothes in my parents' house, and we got super bundled up, wrapped our faces because it was a storm. It was a mean storm, wind and fucking just bad, and it was the heat of it, right? Well, not the heat of it because it was the second day, but it was still going. It was still going very strong. It didn't stop until like nighttime, till it was night. It was like 2 days straight of snow, or like a day and a half of straight heavy snow. And we were out there, we bundled up, we wanted to go get some weed. And this was back in the days when we would buy 10 bags, like $10 bags, right? So a gram. We'd go buy a gram of weed, okay? This is how fucking stupid we are. A gram of weed. And we bundled up and we drove to, I'm sorry, we didn't drive. We walked all the way to a supermarket, the only thing that was open in the area. We were hoping to walk to a gas station that is normally open, even in the worst storms. They're owned by, it's like your normal Arab convenience store. They're open 24/7. They say funny shit to you while you're there. It's great. You build a relationship with the people. It was nice. And they weren't open. We didn't have any cash. This must have been before, like, apps, right? We didn't have no cash. So we had to walk to Shaw's, which was in the snow with the wind. That normally would be like a 30-minute walk if it was good conditions, maybe 20 from where my parents live. And this was like an hour just to get to that place. And then we had to walk all the way the opposite way from where I live and where Shaw's was. And that's where we got the bud. And we rolled it and we smoked it, and nothing happened to us. We barely got high. We smoked out in the cold. It was strange. It just didn't work. I don't know what it was. It just didn't work. And we were sitting in the house, and my dad comes home from working. He would come home at like 11 at night, and he immediately gets us up, right? And we go out. And no, this is what it was. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do this. We got high. We got super high. And then we sat down in the house, and then my dad comes in. It's 11 at night, and he's angry because the driveway is still all covered with shit, right? It's still all covered in snow. He's like, you guys didn't do anything. So we had to bundle up and go out, and then we got completely sober. Even when we were done, we got back in the house, and it was nothing. Right, we weren't high. That's what it was. So again, it's a good time if you want to do substances. Right, the snow. That's really all it's about. Is doing substances, going out and getting substances, doing stupid shit. Like, you don't want to do stuff in the snow. Like, if you have to shovel your car out to go to your office job or go to your job, whatever your job is, you're like, fuck, dude, this sucks. But if your buddy hits you up and says, hey, we got some mushrooms, you want to come over? It's going to snow all night. You're like, fuck yes, let's do that. Right? Let's go ahead. I will shovel my shit. I broke my one of my windshield wipers because I was in a rush to go do mushrooms at my buddy's house after a snowstorm. That's a true story. One of my windshield wipers wasn't. I was trying to put it on, and it wasn't coming on, and or it wasn't coming off or some shit, and I bent the fucking thing, and now on that side, it never wipes. It's always like if it's raining and you're looking out, if you're in the passenger seat and you're looking out the windshield, there's rain there the whole time. So that's the point I'm trying to make, though, is that snow is only good to completely. It gives you an excuse to completely fuck off and do drugs the whole day. You can. It's like a thing that it's because where we live, it doesn't happen super often. Like if we all lived, if the entire United States snowed as much as fucking northern Alaska or northern Canada or something, right, where it's always snow, then it'd be a little different. You're a little more used to it. But for us, snow is like a period of the year where things are very different, and the snow and there's like a mystique to it almost. Some people love it, right? They look forward to it. I love the snow. Here comes the snow, baby. Sitting in the house, drinking coffee, watching movies. Woohoo! I love that. People love it. I want to sit in this. There's some people who are like, they really like, really strange circumstances. Everyone has that. But the one I'm thinking of in particular, there's a type of people who like it dark and cold, right? Dark and cold. And as, I've heard there was a friend of my dad's we used to work with that moved somewhere, and it was really secluded in a very woodsy area of the state. And it was like a cul-de-sac, but it was far away. It had access to the woods, and it was dark, no lights anywhere. And I remember him looking at us and goes, "I like it dark. That's what I like. That's where I want to live, dark and away." And I was, it's just funny. Some people like that shit. I like nighttime. I like the dark. I fuck with all that shit. Let me take a sip from my massive jug. Hold on. I'm a boxcar and a jug of wine. Charles Manson quote. Anyway, but yeah, no snow. I think it's a good thing. Fuck the snow for the most part. Unless you live somewhere where you don't need to worry about shoveling or anything. Like maybe I have to refute everything that I just said, because now that I live here alone, I don't need to worry about shoveling anything. I don't need to worry about going to help, driving to my grandmother's house or my parents' house to do any of that. My brother's there. He'll be able to do it. So I can rest easy. I can sit in the house and smoke reefer and drink alcohol and do nothing the entire day. So maybe it'll be good, because who the fuck doesn't like to do that? But in terms of weather, worst one. I'm good with global warming as long as it wipes out snow from wherever I'm living at that current time. So I'm fine with that. I'm good. So a couple days ago, John Mayer was on the Call Her Daddy podcast. Now, I've never listened to the podcast. I would listen to that one because I'm a John Mayer fan. And maybe I'd listen to the other ones, right? There's got to be some valuable information in there. But I do think that it is a necessary podcast, because there are so many podcasts out there. If the biggest podcast in the world is Joe Rogan, right? Joe Rogan Experience. And that is pretty much the exact opposite of Call Her Daddy. It's like the exact equal opposite of that show. That show is for ladies to talk about anything, just like Joe Rogan's show is. It's the same reason why on the Joe Rogan Experience, guys can sit there and talk about, baboons getting eaten by crocodiles, and they can watch videos of people shooting guns and people getting run over by cars, and then they can talk about fighting and drink whiskey and smoke weed and all this shit. It's good that there's another one that is very big as well, another podcast, another outlet that's very big as well with a similar format. It's good. I'm a fan of that. I have, and I'd like to hear this episode. I would like to hear it. But supposedly, John Mayer is a womanizer, okay? That's the label he's been given. I haven't followed his career in that way. I'm a fan of his music. I'm a fan of his musical talent. He has he has his own version of I Don't Need No Doctor by Ray Charles. My God, is it fucking good. He's a legitimate fucking rock star when he wants to be. Everyone thinks, it's your body is a wonderland. And it is that too. It's a lot of that too. Okay, it is. And I like that too, but he's also, at one point was a legitimate fucking wild guy, rock star type, whatever. So he can do that, and he's very musically talented, and that's why I like him. I could probably suspect that he could be a womanizer, right? He could be a guy who does these kind of things. And I guess that was addressed in this podcast. I suppose that he talks about it, and there were some excerpts. And I read an article about it. It was a BuzzFeed article. And it calls attention to some of his past relationships, one with Jessica Simpson. And I guess this was the start of the onslaught, if you will, on John Mayer and how he treats women and how he degrades them. Now, this is what he said that kind of set things off, okay? And I'm just having a little bit of trouble in understanding why it was so... I understand why it was bad, right? He shouldn't have said this. So speaking with Playboy in 2010, which roughly 3 years after he and Jessica parted ways, Jessica Simpson, that is, John made several degrading remarks about his ex. Sexually, it was crazy. That's all I'll say. It was like napalm, sexual napalm, he said. And I guess Jessica Simpson didn't like that, and eventually he apologized, and she didn't care. That to me sounds like a compliment. If he had said that to just her, they probably would have fucked again immediately after that. If they had just got done fucking for 3 hours, right? That's what I would imagine. If John Mayer and Jessica Simpson are fucking each other, it's probably a minimum of 3 hours, right? And they're laying there, and he says to her, baby, that was like sexual napalm. They're going another 3. They're going again. That's it. That is in real life, okay? If John Mayer and Jessica Simpson aren't public figures, right? And they go to a dinner party with people that they're very close friends with. Okay, they're friendly. Everyone's making jokes about each other. It's an open fucking air. And he said, sexual napalm over here. It's crazy. Good God. People will go, ha ha, and she'd laugh, ho ho ho. If it's an environment that expresses it and welcomes that kind of thing, right? Now, the only problem is they're both public figures. And some public people, or some people, I should say, in general, don't want, they don't want certain things out there. Good luck when you're Jessica Simpson and John Mayer, okay? Good luck when, you're the 2 hottest people on the fucking planet and you guys are fucking, all right? I mean, good luck something not getting out, all right? And I think... I don't know. I get why people would say it's degrading. You shouldn't put it out there. You shouldn't. No, John. You shouldn't be talking about it. It's strange, the demonization we have on sex in general, which is why I think the Call Her Daddy podcast is good, because it's literally a platform for women to talk about that stuff in open air, where normally that's supposed to be looked down upon. That's supposed to be a bad thing. A woman's not supposed to be doing that. And it seems like Jessica Simpson subscribes to that kind of, ideology, because now there's women Think about all the female rappers. That's so much of their shtick, right? Being a badass bitch, making mad money, pussies bomb, bodies on fire, gorgeous, right? That's the whole thing. That's how the fuck it really should be. You know what I'm saying? There shouldn't be there at one point the woman was looked at as the fucking vessel of the planet. Okay? There were no dogmas, there were no ideals made by people who grouped up and said this is the way that these people should talk and these people should act this way and they're able to do this because of whatever arbitrary fucking reason that they've created, rather than just existing and also understanding that a woman does have a one-up on the man in that they could create a fucking life. Okay? That has to fucking count for something. All right? And then a culture took over, one that was very based on domination and, monetary progression and all these other things. Progress in the sense of how much do you get? How much can you make? What can we pull from this? A different kind of dominance, right? It's rather than dominance over the mind, dominance over the, the existence, the community that you've built in a non-violent way, in a non-restrictive way. Forget violent, in a non-restrictive way, not allowing certain kinds of people to do certain kinds of things because they were born a certain way or they believe something different. It's very strange to me that there's double standards. Never made sense to me. Guys can talk about fucking, but girls can't, right? Like that's a stupid thing, and that's why I like the show. But and I think that the consciousness is shifting when it comes to that. I think it's women are being more outward with that kind of thing. In that realm of society and culture, the playing field is leveling as the days go on. Every time Megan Thee Stallion or Cardi B drops a new song, the levels are getting closer and closer to being even, right? Because they're the fuel. They're the fuel, and they are, whether you want to call them this or not, shaping the culture, right? They are, bar raisers, if you will. Now, my camera's acting really weird today. I don't know exactly what it is, so I apologize if you're watching on YouTube, which nobody really does in general, but if you are, I apologize. And looking at this really makes me excited for when we get new shit. Very excited for when we get new shit, whenever the fuck that's going to be, sometime next spring. But where was I at? Oh, yeah, they're shaping the culture. They are. They're shifting the consciousness in a positive way. I think it's a positive way. I do. There's probably some closed-minded fucking conservative morons that are out there saying, well, no, we need to have safeguards and morals and women shouldn't be. Oh, really? Women shouldn't be? What was your bachelor party like? You went to a strip club, maybe you bought some stripper, Well, what about that? Women shouldn't be. I'm sure there were moments in the people who follow that kind of thinking definitely have some skeletons in their closet. They definitely did some fucked up shit. They cheated on their wife, or they cheated on their significant other. They did something bad, right? There's a side to them that they feed into every once in a while. Every couple of years, they're like, fuck it. They buy a hooker and they fuck her in a dirty motel. They fuck her in a dirty motel and they do blow together off the fucking sink. That's what they do. That's what people who have that conservative fucking dogma idealist mindset. And what was my whole point to this? Oh, well, I just wanted to draw attention to the fact that he literally said she's really good at having sex, right? And this was in 2010, so times are different. That was 12 fucking years ago, guys. That was 12 years ago. No, oh my God. No, yeah, 12. Oh my God, I can't do math either. That was 12 years ago. That was a long time ago, okay? That was before the hot girl shit. And, don't get me wrong, there's always been very sexual sexually empowering women over the course of history, but not like now. Not like now. It's different now. It's very different now. And I get it, right? But looking at it these days through the lens of a modern person, I mean, who wouldn't want to hear that from somebody after you just had sex? Or you've been, who wouldn't want to know that the person that they've been intimate with thinks that they're really good at it, right? And then now you're a public person. Your entire life is publicity and public. I mean, one of the most famous people, okay, Jessica Simpson, especially in 2010. Everyone knows who the fuck Jessica Simpson is. And she's no saint either, all right? She's no saint either. Ain't she the one that Tony Romo was sleeping around with while he was with Carrie Underwood? I mean, come on. Talk about Tony Romo, too. That guy couldn't win a playoff game to save his life, but holy shit did he pull. Holy shit did he pull. I mean, come on. With Carrie Underwood banging, Carrie Underwood, legendary, too, right? Legendary in her art. Legendary in her fucking craft. And then cheats on her with Jessica motherfucking Simpson. God damn. Gets a song written about him. Whoa. Gets a song written about him. One that he should probably find a way to get royalties on. Because he's the inspiration for it, if we're being honest. But anyway, that leads to the next part of this article, where I actually didn't know that he dated Taylor Swift. He dated Taylor Swift when she was 19 and he was 32. All right, that's a little weird, okay? It's a little weird. I mean, Taylor Swift was famous and public and legal at 19, but he's John Mayer, who's been around, right? He knows what he's doing, and he's 32, and they were dating, and I actually didn't know this, and then she ended up writing some songs about him, and he said that her songwriting is cheap, and the way he expressed it was like, how are you gonna sit there and write a song and say, haha, he'll like this. I don't know the exact quote, but he's basically commenting on her vengeance thinking when it comes to wait till he gets a load of this. I think it's abusing your talent to rub your hands together and go wait till he gets a load of this. That's bullshit. So he and then he went on to write a song that people have speculated is also about her. So, either way, I have to agree with him. I mean, she sucks at writing songs, right? She's not good at it. She's never been particularly good at it. She's the biggest star in the world. I have no leg to stand on. She's more popular than John Mayer. She's more popular than almost anybody you can think of, right? She is at the top of the popularity list, and she fucking blows. She blows. From a musical standpoint, from a substance standpoint, from a personality standpoint, she fucking sucks. She's like white bread. She's like tuna without mayo on white bread. That's what she is. That's what Taylor Swift is to me musically and when it comes to looking at celebrity. I mean, she is as lame and cheap, which is a great way to put it. I know he's talking specifically about those songs and how those songs were possibly meant for him. But I would go as far to say that she's cheap across the board. I mean, because that's all she's ever written about. She's only ever written about people she's broken up with. So I don't know. It's strange. My point about bringing all this up in the first place is that I don't think John Mayer did that much wrong, right? I mean, there's an interview of Sean Connery sitting there with Barbara Walters or Winters, whoever the fuck her name is. I don't know. I think it's Walters, the lady who's on The View. And she's interviewing him, and she asks him about an interview he had before that about slapping women and how he thinks it's justified, okay? And he goes on this explanation. He explains himself, and it's something that most people don't agree with, right? I mean, it's an old way of thinking. He's like, women, they like to get the last word, and you give it to them, and they want to say it again. It's not enough, and sometimes you get into a very provocative situation, and it's like you're talking to a guy from the 30s, where it was like you're supposed to beat your wife. That's what you're supposed to do. You didn't beat your wife? Yes. What do you mean you didn't beat your wife? What do you mean you came home and your Coca-Cola wasn't on ice with your meatloaf hot with mashed potatoes and gravy? You mean to tell me that the mashed potatoes were lukewarm and you didn't beat the dog shit out of your wife? Are you kidding me? That's what it sounds like. Now, if you look at that video, the only time where people would agree with that is in the 1930s. And he did this in, like, I don't know, the 90s, the 80s or something, late 80s, early 90s, somewhere around that time. That's what it seemed like from the video. I could be completely wrong. But it seemed like a time well past where hitting a woman was ever looked at as something good or something even plausible, something that you should do at all, well past that time. And the opposite has happened for John Mayer, I think. I think that what he said in the past has now become more valid, more open, more accepted, right? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it isn't. Maybe famous people shouldn't air out their sexual exploits with each other. I don't know. People are going to assume it anyway, right? Does anyone ever look at Jessica Simpson and say, she probably can't fuck? She's probably a fish. She's probably a dead fish who lies on her back. She probably can't fuck. And then look at John Mayer and say, he probably don't know what he's doing with that fucking, with that thing between his legs. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He has no clue. Would you think anything less if you had first heard that Jessica Simpson and John Mayer were dating? Would you first thing say they probably don't fuck at all? It's probably like a prison in that house. They sit on either side of the room. They barely talk. They do different things. And on purpose, and then they lay in bed and nothing, they just go to sleep. Nothing happens. That's probably not what you're thinking when you hear that, So I don't know, and it's a compliment. It's a compliment the way you look at it now. Maybe because they work in a similar vein, right? I mean, Jessica Simpson was an actress. I don't even know what the fuck she was, if I'm being honest. And he's a musician, but they're in entertainment, right? Maybe it's like being weird at the office, right? You and Jessica went to fucking Applebee's and got half off margs for 3 hours, and even though it was a Wednesday, you went back to her place and you watched Bill and Ted's fucking Excellent Adventure, and you ended up fucking. You guys fucked on the couch and whatever, and you both went to work the next day, and it'd be like you were talking to Chet at the cubicle over, and you're like, me and Jessica, we really got it on last night. It might be, I get it, it's weird. I get it. I understand, but you're also public. You're public. You're like you're like a company where stocks can be bought and sold. Do you understand that? And your value goes up based on speculation. Your value goes up based on journalist speculation, on media speculation, and on audience speculation, on the populace. Whatever they speculate, that's what you're worth. And just like a company, sometimes you can prove your worth and other times you can't. And these are one of the times where if she responded correctly, there could have been a boom. If you were holding some stock in Jessica Simpson, there could have been a big boom. If she dug her heels in. If she dug her heels in like Sean Connery did when he was confronted with the question, is it okay to slap a woman? Yes, the fuck it is. That's what he said. That's what he said, not what I'm saying. That's what he said. He said, yep, it is. It's justified. There's reasons. There's times to do it. And if Jessica Simpson got word that her sex is great and she's really good at, she should have said, God damn right, this pussy is bomb. And maybe back in those days. But again, there's always been edgy women. Like if someone said that about Alanis Morissette, right? There's an example of a very sexually outward woman who was around, in the past, right? It's not like now. Because in my mind, I still think of now, just like I said before, Ice Spice and fucking It's a new genre in rap. It's a new like subculture in hip hop. The badass, don't give a fuck bitch who fucks and cusses and all this shit. But there's always been badass women who do that kind of thing and live that kind of way and expose that. So if someone said Alanis Morissette eats ass like a fucking champ, right? Like Andrew Dice said, I'm like Nixon in that ass. I'm not a crook. You know, that's if and she said, and someone said that about her, she'd be like, fuck yeah, I do. Fuck yes, I do. And she'd lick her lips and fucking off her fucking fingers. So, it's the way she reacted that kind of snowballed this effect of John Mayer becoming known as a womanizer, which I didn't even know. I didn't even know about that. And again, I haven't followed his career completely. I haven't followed it with a microscope, and I'm not one of these. I'm not a fanatic, right? Like I did with DMX all those years. I'm not that way. But I don't know. I never heard that. I guess in 2010, that was a while ago. I was fucking 13. So that's right, 13. Does that make sense? Yeah, right. That's math. You see that? That's math, motherfuckers. Yeah, I was 13, so I'd have no reason to know, but I guess he had that reputation, and that's kind of what started it. Also, he was on Playboy. What the fuck do you expect? He's gonna say, "Well, she's very well mannered, and she keeps herself in phenomenal shape. She does Pilates. He's going. What do they want? They're talking to this guy for his fucking specific reason, And now it's celebrated, right? That's why he was on that show, Call Her Daddy, because they want to hear what his take is on that, and that's good. And I commend them for that. Very good, Call Her Daddy. Keep doing what you're doing. I advocate for them. So I don't know. Another thing that I found was funny, and I gotta find this on my phone. My phone's been going bananas this whole fucking time. I don't know what's going on. Sorry, people. Production is on hold. Give me 1 second. Where are we at? 97-year-old convicted over the Holocaust. How convenient. Germany still trying to save face. And at the perfect time, they're taking advantage. And they're smart for it. They're taking advantage of the vapid anti-Semitism narrative that's been going on, one that has, been escalated by what Kanye said and all these things. They know, I don't know if vapid is the right word. I feel like I just insulted. Just in case that's a bad word, a word that shouldn't be used there, a word that wouldn't describe my feeling toward anti-Semitism, in that it is bad. All right, I feel like I should clear that up. I don't know if vapid is the right word. What I meant to say was the recent and ever-present, I suppose, narrative of anti-Semitism, which has, of course, been accelerated by Kanye, and it's given people a lot to talk about. It's given Jewish influencers and celebrities a reason to kind of bring this stuff to light, something I'm sure that they know about. I don't know. I'm not Jewish. I just think that Germany is doing a very smart thing here. This woman is 97 years old, okay? She was a secretary at a Nazi camp and was the accessory to over 10,000 murders. Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot, right? But this woman's 97. I don't know how much it costs in Germany. I don't know what their prison system is like. I'm sure they only lock people up for legitimate crimes with victims, right? Not stupid shit like drugs. Maybe they have, I don't know. I'm just saying maybe there's countries out there whose system isn't based on locking people in jail, where they haven't figured out a way that they can make a lot of money by locking people up in jail. So I don't know how much it costs to house a prisoner. She's sentenced to 2 years. So she's going to be 99. Just kill her if we're being... why not just kill her? She She was the accessory to over 10,000 murders, right? She let them all happen. She knew that I mean, what was the alternative, though? People are looking at it now, so many years later, right? How many years fucking, what's that, 80 years later? 80 years later, we're looking back, and we're like, okay, this is really, really fucking bad. Really, really bad what these people did, but what was the alternative? If you already work there, you know what's happening, right? I mean, you're already a part of the party, okay? You know the idea of being an accessory is built in once you put on that fucking outfit, once you wear that swastika, once you swear to fucking Hitler or whatever, you are already an accessory. Even if you just believe in the ideology, not even if you work for them, if you just believe in it, right? You're already an accessory. So try every person that's still living that believed in anything that Hitler said. And try them too. Because this woman's 97, I'm not saying she doesn't deserve something, right? I mean, it took them long enough. What, did they just knock on her door one day and say, hey, Mrs., what's her name? Irmgard Furchner. Mrs. Irmgard Furchner, we heard that 80 years ago you helped 10,000 people get murdered, and you were the secretary at a Nazi camp where over 60,000 people got murdered. You want to know what we're going to do to you? We're going to bring you to the courthouse. We're going to make you sit through a trial. And this lady's in a wheelchair. She's got sunglasses on. Her hair's tied back. She's ancient. She probably doesn't even know where she is. She probably doesn't even, but you know what would be funny if she pulled down the mask she's wearing and said, I love every second of what I did. I replay it in my mind often. Yes. And she just goes down evil, just more evil, just till the end. She's never but it took them long enough to get to this woman. Now, I mean, where the fuck was she? Were they looking for her? Was this just someone where they were looking in the record books and they're like, let's see if she's still around. Let's see if we can convict another person from 80 years ago. Which, yes, I mean, if you're going to convict people for something they did 80 years ago, participation in the Holocaust is a great thing, but I would say just murder her. I don't know if they have the death penalty in Germany, but I think that if they want to accelerate this process of saving face and completely wiping out anybody that's still around that was involved in the Holocaust and punishing them, then they should wipe them out. They should actually kill them. They should just call them up, do what they did, right? Because, again, the law enforcement in Germany are still Germans. They have that gene in them of rounding people up into a room, telling them one thing, and then murdering them, right? That gene has to be in there. So maybe there's, I don't know, a few dozen Nazis around, right, in Germany. Old school, just round them up, put them in and blow the building up. Blow them up, put them in a warehouse, and blow them the fuck up. I think that would just be a little, this is like novelty. This is like childish. This is theatrics, right? 97 years old, you're going to arrest her and lock her up. I mean, arguably you could say living her entire life knowing that she was an accessory to an actual genocide maybe a little more painful, right? Maybe a little better of a punishment than going to jail. But I guess capping it off at the end with a nice little 2-year sentence in a prison, I guess, it wouldn't be... That's a good cap, right? It's a good cap. But you better hope that she dies after that. Because if she gets out and lives to be 102, 103, then it's like, what the fuck did you do that for? You better hope she's dead. You better hope she's dead in 2 years, or you just wasted all that time. You wasted the money, and you could have gotten better results when it came to publicity if you just rounded them up and killed them all. The Jews would be like, fuck yeah, that's enough. And what's even more interesting is that Furchner was 18 or 19 at the time, and therefore was tried in juvenile court. She is one of several people charged for their indirect role in the Holocaust. And I mean, life comes full circle, right? Everyone does. Listen. Everyone does stupid shit when you're 18 and 19. Everyone does. It's juvenile. It's what you do when you're a kid. It's what you do when you're a kid. You do dumb shit. Sometimes you just happen to be on standby while you know that thousands of people are getting burned and bombed and starved and gassed and overworked and malnourished. You just know, at 18 and 19, you don't know nothing. You don't know about the world. You're a dummy. 18 and 19, you're dumb. Didn't you hear what I was saying before? We were going sledding. We were going sledding and drinking. Do you understand that? That's what you do at 18 and 19. You go sledding and drinking. You get a fake ID. You ding up your mom's car. And then once you're done with all that, you go work your secretary job that you don't make a ton of money at, but it's an interesting work environment. And you sit there and you allow a genocide to happen. And you're on the front lines of it. You're really on the front lines of it. But you don't know. It's funny that they tried her as a juvenile, because when she did those things, it's kind of and they're kind of reaching. All right, they're kind of reaching with this. Germany, I'm saying, they really are. It looks like they're doing a real publicity type deal here, if I'm being honest, because that lady, she's probably not living well. I can't imagine she's got anybody that cares much of her. If they just, she's in the courtroom alone, right? I mean, she probably outlived anyone. She doesn't have any old buddies from back in the Nazi days to call up and talk war stories with. She doesn't have that anymore. She's 97. When you're 97 and you're facing a court case, you're probably a troubled 97-year-old, right? I mean, who wants to be 97 in the first place? Who, in today's age, in today's era, who wants to be 97? Nobody wants to be 97. Now you're a 97-year-old Nazi. You were a Nazi when you're 18 and 19, and now you're getting tried for some shit that 80 years later, 80 plus years later, and now it's very cancel culture like. It's very, it's the same thing they did to John Mayer, like I was talking about recently. It's very smearing. It's unnecessary, guys. It's unnecessary, is my point. Just kill her. Just kill her. Round them all up, those several people that you tried for being an accessory or whatever. Round them up, chop their heads off. Chop them off and eat them. Fuck it. I don't know. I guess I thought that was pretty interesting. But anyway, guys, we're wrapping this episode up a little early. I think that's a good fucking idea. I don't know. But what I will say is every year, usually for Christmas around this time, I do a little something extra for the show, and I'm still contemplating on whether or not I want to do that. But I wanted to take a second at the end of this episode for you guys to listen, to direct you to an old episode. And listen to episode 156. It was the New Year's Eve special that I did last year with two of my good buddies, both been on the show separately, and then obviously together, Rob Altamari and Chris Oldred. And we got hammered on a Tuesday, the week of Christmas, so this same week last year. A Tuesday, we got fucked up, taking tequila shots, drinking, we smoked reefer, and we just bullshitted for almost 2 hours, and it's one of my favorite episodes. It's one of my favorite episodes that I've ever done because it's exactly how I would imagine the perfect podcast, the perfect episode going. And that's exactly what it was. And it's really something that I miss about having a big setup and having people that I can, I can get guests and I can get my friends to come on or whatever. And I want to find a way to work that into the show going forward, right? I do miss the guests. I like having guests. I like doing this too, but I like having guests, and I like having them in person because you do get to do those things, and it's funner, right? It's much funner, and I think it makes for a better episode. And we're gonna see. We're gonna see if that's something I can do. But again, I'm not on this show right now for the last few episodes of the year, trying to, I guess, lay out what the show is going to be for you come April, come May, springtime. Once it comes back, it could be something completely different, right? Not completely different, but different, okay? It could be, the look could be different. It's still up in the air. I have ideas, and I'm excited to see it play out, and I'm excited to figure it all out. So that's what I want to leave you motherfuckers with. Have a merry motherfucking Christmas. And I'm going to talk to you guys on Monday. Peace. Oh, me again. Follow the show. Subscribe on the YouTube. Buy me a coffee. Use the links. Bye-bye.